Now, we're delighted to also be joined by two other TDs who were really at the forefront of the abortion referendum, in which they campaigned so vigorously to try to protect women and children from an abortion industry that unfortunately has killed a lot of Irish children. Their names are independent TDs Carol Nolan and Mattie McGrath. Carol, first of all, to yourself, can we get your response to the figures that came out this week?
Yeah, well, the figures are absolutely barbaric. 6,666 innocent, vulnerable children, the most vulnerable in our society. And what we do recall is many of the leaders of political parties standing up and saying that once we had abortion in this country, that figures would be lower. And that's not the case. Unfortunately, we see this huge number today before us, and it just shows really how, the political leaders, some politicians and the media managed to weave a web of deceit, and they really did fool people. They fooled the public into believing that if abortion came into this country and we lost our culture that we were so fond of, the culture of life that we held for so long, that it wouldn't be like it is now, it wouldn't be extreme, but it actually is, and it's so sad to see those figures today. It's just, I find as a Republican who cherishes the values of the 1916 proclamation that it's just a completely different country. It's we've become a different nation. It's just so sad to see that our children are not being cherished equally, that children, the most vulnerable, are not being protected because, unfortunately, we had a situation where the referendum was won on deceit. And that's what happened. And I think it's important as politicians that we bring out the truth and bring out the facts. And unfortunately, we're seeing these horrible facts today. The figures speak for themselves.
And Mattie, we've also seen in the programme for government how our new government plan to crack down on pro-life protesters. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It's truly shocking, and I don't believe that was actually shown to the party membership when they voted for the deal, where they intend to have legislation to ban protests, peaceful protests of people who are trying to give counsel and advice to distraught mothers, expectant mothers, and they're going to punish and ban those protests or those engagements. It's truly shocking. The figures that Carol quoted, 6,666, just demonic, and now that's not enough. They want to ensure that it's increased, more of a push, because it's an industry, safe, legal and rare. How are you? I mean, it's shocking, and that's there. And also, they want to bring in legislation in the first 12 months, also in the programme for government, regarding hate speech. So if we're going to try and protest or have a contrarian view, we could be all, guilty of this so-called hate speech, which will be brought up by or put together by some liberal cabal, which they always do, maybe another citizens' assembly to decide the wording. It's truly shocking. And it's time that the people of Ireland woke up. And this programme for government is just shameful, the way that those items are in it, and other aspects of it as well. So, I mean, they showed one part of it to the party membership to get it over the line. And then, I'm speaking about Fianna Fáil especially, who had values and was a party with values, until Micheál Martin took over and sold out. Remember, 90% plus of the delegates at the Fianna Fáil Ardèche voted against abortion. And he threw it in their face and has got away with it. And now he's brought it into the programme for government, the exclusion zones, and it's going to happen, so he keeps going. So the membership of the party needs to stand up, but they haven't, and they have got the results of it.
And Carol, have politicians who push through this abortion legislation largely been left off the hook, given the figures we've seen and given the way they claimed that it would be reduced in number?
Absolutely. I mean, they told us that story at the beginning, but then we've heard instances where the politicians became like sales reps for the abortion industry. Any excuse to push it, to encourage it, to normalise it, but give no positive solutions to women in crisis in order to keep their babies or maybe go through the adoption channel. Those options were never ever mentioned. So it was only one-way traffic. And to me, I suppose, sitting and with the opposite views, it did appear, and I did say it to Minister Harris at the time, that you're really trying to encourage this, and that would certainly be my own view, that that's exactly what they're trying to do, normalise it, take what was dear from us in terms of our culture and deceive. And I really think they have successfully deceived the Irish people.
And Mattie, I think for some people in the middle ground that they're shocked whenever they learn the doctor who is handing out this abortion bill is paid €450, not of a single individual's money but of the taxpayers' money. So is there any appetite there among politicians to try and overturn that aspect of it even?
Well, unfortunately there's only a handful of us there that will question it, that will raise it. And when you see the sad deaths now, one death is one too many from the COVID, but we see the figures being manipulated there and the whole money around that and the talk and concern around it, and rightly so. Now, 1,700 deaths minus 600 I think yesterday, and we have 6,666 people literally murdered and not a word about it. Where is our moral compass gone in this country? And the spin doctors for each of the political parties seem to get away with it. So we need a rude awakening, really, yeah. And the same system try to say this is healthcare, and they try to lock us all up and lock us all in and lock us all down regarding COVID. So people, I think, are waking up, but slowly. But unfortunately, it's too late for us. Those 6,666 human beings and their families and the horrific consequences afterwards. So we need to be awakened, and I salute Life Institute and Family in Life and all the groups out there that have maintained, and Vicky Wall and the work she does, and many more like her, that are there to court face. But we must resist the idea of the exclusion zones. We must resist the idea of hate crime, because we'll be the people they'll be coming for. And this new liberal society, you know, we're leaders now in it. We'll be the only country in Europe, I understand, that will have legislation around hate crime, so-called hate crime.
And obviously your own voters don't hate you too much. Both of you were re-elected. It was fantastic for you and all the other people who voted no in the Dáil as well.
Well, look, I stood up and I was prepared to win or lose my seat. I let the electorate decide that, and I'm very grateful to the people of Laois Offaly. It's an honour to be re-elected, and even a greater honour to be re-elected as an independent and working with like-minded rural independent TDs. And certainly I'll do my very best. But I know, coming back to that point about the taxpayer and this being foisted on the taxpayers to pay for abortion, it just shows that there's absolutely no respect for other views or for the freedom of conscience anymore in this state. And that's particularly concerning, you know, where we could have something foisted upon us and be completely of an opposite view. And I just think, you know, the way this liberal society is becoming, it's quite dangerous. And people aren't calling it out for what it is. And certainly I look forward to working with Mattie in the future, and certainly making sure things are called out on the floor of the Dáil, and making sure that our side of the argument is represented, and that pro-life people who genuinely have concerns, and rightly so, with this whole agenda, that they're represented as well as we can represent them, and just standing up for decency and standing up for life. That's what we will continue to do.